Hello, horror fiends, and welcome to Guess What? You're Wrong, the podcast where we dive into all things horror and spoil the hell out of every movie we discuss. With me, Big D, as your host, be prepared for a terrifyingly good time. From classic slasher flicks to contemporary horror masterpieces, we're going to explore the genre from every angle that we can and leave no stone unturned. Horror, prints, and shine. New conversations, same podcast. So buckle up, bonehead, because you're going for a ride.
Enjoy the show!
Now, before we get into this episode too far, I just got a little disclaimer here. First off, all audio used in this podcast is used under the protection of fair use. And as with all the movie reviews that I do here on Guess What? You're Wrong, we're going to spoil the hell out of every single thing we talk about. So, you have been warned. Hello and welcome back to another Halfophobia. I think I said it right. Halfophobia inducing episode of Guess What? You're Wrong. Now, in case you're wondering, halfophobia is actually an intense and irrational fear of being touched. So, today we are diving back in time into the 20s once again. Let's see here. 1927 with The Unknown. And with me, I have Brian Mitchell. How's it going, Brian?
It's going good. This movie is amazing. I was happy to recommend it to you, and I'm glad that you also realized it's amazing. I feel like it's really unsung as feel like Lon Chaney. People are like, oh, Phantom of the Opera, Hunchback of Notre Dame, and London After Midnight, and then after that, people don't really know anything that he did or whatever.
Yeah, I got to tell you, when I first started looking this up, when you recommended this movie, I saw Lon Chaney, and the first thing I thought of was Lon Chaney Jr., who's the mummy. Yeah. And I was like, wait a minute, what? And I was like, wait, no, this is the original Lon Chaney.
Yeah.
His dad, I'm guessing, right?
Yep.
Who plays Alonzo in this movie here. Brian, I got to tell you, this. Hold on. Let's go over The Unknown from 1927, directed by Tod Browning, written by Tod Browning, Waldemar Young, Joseph Farnheim, and the main people that it stars is Lon Chaney as Alonzo, Norman Carey as Malabar, Joan, the lovely and beautiful Joan Crawford as Nanan.
Yes.
And John
as
George,
a young teenager. I believe this is her first film.
I think I was reading that she was like 20 years old in this movie.
I thought she was still a teenager, but they always change their age.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Because
that era.
I think they were saying that she was 20 years old, but it was one of those instances where they didn't really know when she was born. So they kind of made up. I think that's what I read. They kind of made up the date of when her actual birth date was. And also John George, who plays Kojo. This little guy kind of freaked me out. I'm telling you, he's always hanging around, and the way he's looking, it's like in the scenes where Lon Chaney is with Joan Crawford, Alonzo and Nana, and they're together. He's always like staring, and it's like kind of
very
unsettling a little bit.
I almost I've been watching Death Note with my daughter lately.
Oh yeah,
and you know how like only one person can see the demon.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking this now. Like I didn't research it or anything. I wonder if the little person in there, is he real or he's like Alonzo's imaginary demon imp or something? It seems a possible twist you could throw in there because there aren't enough twists already.
That's interesting. I never thought about that.
Yeah. I don't know. I just thinking that out loud because my daughter's been referring to Ryuk as the third wheel because whenever Light goes out with the whatever the girl's name in that show is, Ryuk's always like standing next to him eating an apple or whatever.
Yeah. Huh. I don't think I wait, did you say Death Note?
Yeah.
I don't think what is that?
Oh, so they made an American movie. I
think I saw that
American movie's
one.
fine. Yeah, but the anime is really amazing. The manga is great as well. The Japanese films are the demon monster is way creepier in the Japanese films than in the American ones. But yeah, it's the one where you write in the notebook and then it causes people to die. And a guy that comes across it, he decides to use it instead of to kill his enemies to make the world a better place by killing off serial killers and war criminals and stuff. But then the authorities still say that it's wrong to do that. So shenanigans ensue.
Oh wow! Trying to see. I got to tell you, I don't get any messages or anything all day long. And then as soon as I get on here, start recording, my phone starts blowing up. Like, come on, people. Anyway, Death Note. Yeah, I saw that American version one. And then my son, one of my older sons, came over and he was wearing a Death Note shirt, and I was like, hey, I had no idea that it was anything but the American movie.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
No idea.
I'm sure the American seems fine if you aren't familiar with the other ones, one of those types of deals.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good movie. I mean, it was decent. I don't really remember it too much. I'll have to check it out again here soon. But so back to this movie here, The Unknown. Now, do you remember when you first saw this movie?
Let me think here. It was probably around 2003 or 2004. That I think it was when a new print had recently been discovered or something. That I don't know if you read some of the same stuff about it as I did, but they thought it was a lost film for a long time and had trouble finding it because it was just said unknown on the boxes. So people were like, "Oh,
it's unknown."
It's unknown. Nobody knows what movie this is. But but they eventually found a print or whatever. And so I saw it on Turner Classic Movies during like a Lon Chaney weekend or something.
Yeah, it says right here in 2022, it was a restoration of a newly found Czech print. And they showed it at Pordenone Silent Film Festival and contains about 10 minutes of rediscovered footage. That's kind of cool. Yeah, I mean, and the base storyline in this is, I mean, at first, when they're showing Alonzo at first, there's something up with him. There's something fishy about the guy. And he's all buttering up to Joan Crawford, to Nanan. Yeah. And, I
think it's better just to use the actor names in general.
Nanan, Alonzo, Malabar. What names are those? Yeah. I mean, he's always buttering up to Joan Crawford. He's trying to, you could tell that he's trying to win her over. But he plays the armless man or the handless man or something. They call him the handless man, right? Man with no hands or something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what his billing is.
Basically, they're working at
it is
at
worth
a
mentioning. He's like 60 years older than her. It feels like, or something.
Absolutely.
It does not feel appropriate.
Maybe
only 50 years older. Yeah.
But they're working at a circus, like sideshow people, or whatever. And Malabar is the strong guy, strong man. Seeing Malabar, Norman Carey as Malabar playing a strong man, it kind of was a little odd when you think about the strongmen of today. And then you look at his character playing a strong man, bending all that stuff, and you're like, wow, times have changed.
Yeah. Yes, skinny people used to be stronger than they are today.
I guess so. In the 20s. But yeah, I mean, that's it. You know, we have Lon Chaney's buttering up to Joan Crawford, who is awfully young in this. I mean, I honestly had never seen any of these earlier Joan Crawford movies, and I was doing some research on other movies that she was in the 20s, and she's got a lot. I mean, a lot.
Well, I mean, they ground out movies so fast then, it's like, like 3 to 4 weeks production time per film, and just kept cranking them out.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to dig into some more of her movies here, because I really enjoyed watching her in this movie. And like, she has that hapaphobia where she's afraid of, being touched. She's afraid of being
more specific, being held.
Hold on, you're breaking up.
By arms, men's arms. Oh, sorry.
You're getting all broke. You're broken up.
Can you hear me now?
All garbled and blah, 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 like that. You there?
Okay, am I back?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm here. Yeah, she's scared of being held simply by men's arms, and men always try to hold her with their arms, making Alonzo allegedly the perfect man.
Yeah, because he has no hands or arms, and that's why one of the things she says is that Malabar Norman Carey is always grabbing her, always touching her, always trying to hold her, and the scenes where Joan Crawford is with Norman Carey, when they're talking, it's fine. They're like, oh yeah, and Joan Crawford's got that look on her face like she's interested, like she wants to be there with him and talk to him. But then he reaches out and touches her, and she just shrieks. She falls, and it's a silent film, so you really have to look at her reaction, her bodily, the way she's acting with her body and her face, and it looks like she's actually afraid of this guy. I mean, of being touched. And did I lose
Good acting.
Are you still there?
No, I'm here. Good acting, I say.
Yeah, it is. And this is, you look at I hate to do this, but you have to compare them to the actors of today. How many actors of today do you think could actually portray a character in a silent film and put across like what she does in fear by just her bodily expressions and her facial expressions? I mean, that she was a real actress.
Yeah.
All of these, Lon Chaney as well, he was silent films, but being able to portray what he needs to get across with no audio, with no words.
Yeah.
Dude, it's spectacular. And this is one of the reasons why I really like silent films. Like earlier I covered Nosferatu, and being able just to watch it, because you have to pay attention. Nowadays you have movies, you can play it and you can go about doing your business and just listen. These old movies, you can't do that. You got to pay attention in order to be able to catch what's going on in the movie. And in this movie here, that fear that Joan Crawford shows, it's awesome. And the comfort that she shows when she's with Lon Chaney, it's awesome. The way she's always buttering up to Lon Chaney, she's hugging him, she's touching him, and you're like, oh wow, that's a couple there.
Yeah. I mean, it seems inappropriate, but at the same time, like, given her thing that she's afraid of people without arms, and he's a guy without arms, it seems like, even the age thing is still, it might work out.
Yeah.
But then we find out something, a reason it won't work out.
When this scene came up here, he starts taking off, Kojo starts helping him take off his undressing, basically taking off his shirt and all his stuff. And then you only see the back of him, but it's like a girdle he's wearing. And I was like, dude's got arms. No way. And sure enough, once they get this whole girdle thing off of him, he lets his arms out. I was like, dude, and he's got a scam going on there.
Yeah.
But I also in this scene here too, he takes a lot of time to like shake off his hands and his arms, trying to get the blood flowing back to him. It's not like, hey, he took it off and I'm fine, I'm ready to go. There's a scene there where he's spending a lot of time, rubbing his arms, rubbing his hands, trying to shake him, getting the blood flowing, going back to him. That was awesome.
Yeah. Oh, I can't remember. Like I don't think we mentioned. So yeah, he's armless and he's a sideshow freak because of that. But he's also the knife thrower.
Yeah, I forgot. And he was a criminal, which is why he took this job, this position, right? But when they at the beginning, when they got Joan Crawford on that, standing up on that board, and he's throwing knives with his feet, I was like, wow, dude, and throughout the whole movie, he's doing everything with his feet. I mean, now I don't know,
and smoking cigarettes.
I don't know if they got like somebody else below him using their feet, or if that's actually his feet.
So I don't think there's information about every scene, but I saw something that there was a real guy that had no arms and had learned to use his feet for things, and they had him laying down under Lon Chaney somehow, and they were using his feet to do things some of the time.
Yeah, because I was like, man, how in the heck? Because even when he's got his arms out at one point here, he starts using his feet to smoke a cigarette, and then Kojo's like, you gotta recognize your arms are out now. It's like, oh, just throws a cigarette away. Yeah. This whole charade that he's playing here, or charade, however you want to say it. I guess charade's a fancy way to say it. Charade. But this whole charade he's playing, that it's going to backfire. There's even at one point there that Joan Crawford gets really close to him and kisses him on the cheek and like holds him. And Kojo's like, no, you can't do that. Because she's going to find out, she's going to feel your arms. You can't do that. And I hadn't thought about that. But when Kojo said that, I was like, dude, yeah, you can't be hugging up on her like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And for some reason, there's the plot twist where he has two thumbs on one of his hands.
Yeah. And at first when I saw that, because I watched it on YouTube, they had it available on YouTube. I watched it. When I first saw that, I was like, is that like an error in the filming or something? But nope. Sure enough. I mean, that's one of the things that would give him away. If he was ever caught, because this he's a criminal of some sort, but he committed crimes, and they know that he has two thumbs.
Yeah. So
by him having the charade going on with no arms, there's no way that they can know that he has two thumbs.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect the guy with no arms or hands to be the two-thumbed murderer or whatever he is.
Was he a murderer? I don't remember if they ever said.
They don't. I mean, we do see him murder some people.
Yeah, later on. Yeah.
Try to. So, he murders Joan Crawford's dad.
Yep, who is Zanzi, played by Nick Derez. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, because he told him that he shouldn't be making moves on Joan Crawford.
Stop filling her head with all these lies or something like that.
Yeah, so I was unsure, her dad's the ringmaster, and so I was unsure if maybe he did know that he had arms or not.
Well, I'm thinking that the reason Joan Crawford had this fear of being touched or held, I'm thinking because it looked to me like Lon Chaney was always reinforcing that constantly when they were together. So I almost thought that maybe that is a fear that he implanted in her head. Because later on when he goes to have his surgery, her fear goes away.
Yeah, when she has a couple weeks without Lon Chaney.
Yeah, and that's what she says. As I grew up, or whatever, I don't have those fears anymore. So that's what I was thinking was that it was kind of like a brainwashing type of thing that he was trying to get her to do that. Which leads back to the father getting pissed off and like, you need to stop doing that. Stop it.
Yeah.
That's what I took it as. And it being a silent film, I guess you got to kind of make your own.
Yeah. At times you got to make some of your own judgments.
But I did mention that Lon Chaney went for a surgery. So what a decision to make, right?
And this thing that he did with meeting the surgeon is weird, where he's like, he sends a letter to a surgeon. He's like, meet me in the surgery room at midnight, leave the door unopened.
Yeah.
And, or unlocked. And
it's something like, or
so
else.
The surgeon does. Yeah. And he shows up. The surgeon does not recognize him until he shows him that he has two thumbs. And he's like, I want you to cut off my arms, or I will let people know who you really are. And then they never reveal anything about any of this backstory
about the doctor. And that was interesting. I'd like to. Well, it was the 20s. I mean, there was a lot of, buying bodies and stuff for educational purposes and that kind of stuff. I don't know, but
I mean, so many possibilities.
The decision to make. He is so in love with Joan Crawford and wants her to be his someone. He's talking about getting married to her.
Yeah.
But they know that Kojo tells him, if you get married, if you do this, she's going to find out you have hands and she's going to hate you. So his
he solved that. He knows the solution for that problem.
Yeah, he goes to the surgeon and they lop his arms off. And this is the time period that Joan Crawford is away from Lon Chaney. So, this is when she comes back to Malabar and is like, or Norman Carrion says, I was wrong. And they get together, they start doing their whole making plans for their wedding and everything like that. But then she makes this comment about, well, I can't do it until Alonzo gets back, though. Which is kind of an odd statement to make, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, so her dad was actually there, but in a way it's like he's her father figure. I mean, I'm sure, I mean, she's the damsel that you throw the knives at, and you're the knife thrower. So I'm sure you like have some kind of relationship, like natural mentorship relationship in that anyway.
Yeah.
But, like, I guess she's, her dad's dead. So maybe she's like, okay, I want Alonzo to give me away at the wedding.
I guess so, maybe.
And when she hugs him when he comes back, and she's like, lost a lot of weight, and he goes, oh, are you sick? And he's like, oh, I'm not sick. I have lost some flesh, though.
Yeah.
What a line.
Wow. I have lost some flesh, though. Wow. What, if, I don't know, if you go to give somebody a hug and they're obviously thinner and they tell you that they have lost flesh, I'm like, what the hell? Somebody eating you or something?
Yeah, I know, right? Like, yeah, like, it's a very, a strange statement.
Strange statement indeed. But then this is where he finds out that Malabar and Nanan, Joan Crawford are going to get married. And he's like, what? He has
he starts laughing maniacally.
Yeah,
and then it's like
this little break.
Some kind of weird Cyrano de Bergerac situation where he had told Alonzo, not Alonzo, he had told Malamar earlier that he should that he's so strong he should definitely keep trying to grab Joan Crawford and hold her, that will make her fall in love with him. And somehow that advice ended up working.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that she was afraid of arms.
Well, yeah, and that's eventually when that's why I was thinking that when she had her time away from Alonzo, that fear went away because there was nobody there with that brainwashing. So when that fear went away and he did grab her up and she was like, "Oh, you're such a big man. Oh, hug me." And that was, and then Alonzo was heartbroken. To say he comes up with this plan because, Malabar and Nanan they purchased, or not purchased, but they're putting on some show, some spectacle, because he's a strong man. They rigged up this thing like these treadmills on each side, and they got a horse, and they're gonna tie his arms to the horses, and they're gonna run, and they're gonna make it look like he's like, I'm holding them here, they can't run away. And Alonzo asked,
they're actually on treadmills, yeah.
And Alonzo asked, what happens if one of these treadmills stops? I mean, well, he ripped my arm out or something like that. I was like, wow. And that right there gives Lon Chaney a great idea because, if you're in love with a woman and she's in love with somebody else, the way to make her fall in love with you is to kill the person she's in love with, right?
Duh.
That makes sense. So there's these levers off to the side that will stop the treadmill. So the auditorium where they're at is full. There's people in there watching them. And Lon Chaney has this idea that, what? I'm going to stop this thing. We're going to have his arms ripped out. She's going to be mine. But he was stronger than he thought. Because even after it stopped, Norman Carey, Malabar, still holding on, still there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude.
Yeah, the horses are like going up on their hind legs and everything, and he's somehow not dying.
Yeah, and the horses are freaking out now. I think Joan Crawford comes in to try and calm one of the horses down. And this scene here was a little odd to me in the movie because it looked like the horse was a lot bigger than Joan Crawford. I mean, like huge wise. So it almost looked like it was a superimposed kind of thing. Yeah,
I'm sure they did not put her that close to a horse rearing up.
Yeah.
See, and when Lon Chaney is there and he's holding the knife with his foot in a threatening way, and I couldn't tell, I think at first maybe she thought that he was gonna use the knife to throw at the rope to set the horse free so that Malamar would live. And then she realizes that he's actually thinking about throwing the knife in Malamar's heart or something.
Yeah. Wow. But, she gets out there and Alonzo sees that this horse is going to trample Joan Crawford. He runs out there and in his last moment of trying to win her over, pushes her out of the way, and he gets trampled himself.
Yeah.
And that's the end of Alonzo.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, do Joan Crawford and Norman Carey live happily ever after?
I think they say yes.
And whatever happened to Kojo?
Well, maybe he's a figment of Lon Chaney's imagination, in which case he dies with Lon Chaney.
Could be. Very much well could be.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this movie doesn't need to be remade. I feel like it's great as it is. But a prequel would be fun.
Yeah, I'd like to, maybe a prequel of the goings-on of Alonzo.
Yeah.
Of how he came to be at the circus and enamored with Joan Crawford at that time. That would be nice.
And what's the deal with this surgeon?
Yeah.
Maybe we could have two episodes or whatever, of it,
Something, yeah. Wouldn't have to be too much. I mean, but still make it silent.
Yeah, for sure. Silent, black and white, blue and white, whatever you call that color.
Yep, but that's it. That's the end of the movie, The Unknown from 1927. Brian, I got to thank you for turning me on to this movie because I had never heard of it. and I'm glad that I got to watch it.
Yeah. Have you seen Laugh Clown Laugh?
No.
So that by a lot of people is like thought of as Lon Chaney's best. That's the reason like that. The Unknown to me feels a lot like that. Like, so Laugh Clown Laugh is later, but it has the same thing where Lon Chaney's in love with a younger girl that's kind of inappropriate. But in this one, he knows it's in Laugh Clown Laugh. He knows it's inappropriate and he doesn't want to do it. And he's helping another guy to get her as the girl. And she realizes that Lon Chaney's in love with her, so she's not going to marry the other guy. And so Lon Chaney kills himself so that she'll be free to be happy. Pretty dark.
Wow.
Yeah.
It is.
And he's a clown.
Clowns are awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's that. Actually, there's an opera of it that it's Pavarotti or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you know that one?
No.
That's what that's based on.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. But yeah, I haven't seen, a huge amount of Lon Chaney films, but I feel like all of them I have actually been impressed by. And there is a thing that he has where I think he's in one talkie movie way towards the end of his career, and he has a small bit part. But there's a thing where he didn't want to be in movies that had and he didn't want to be in the talkies because both of his parents were deaf, and he felt like the cinema was an equalizer for deaf people.
Wow.
Because, like you get the same experience of it because you don't have to hear anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean,
yeah, there's a whole slew of movies from the 20s that, I was looking up silent movies or horror movies from the 20s, and there's a whole slew of them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like an infinite genre.
Yeah. It's like, you got, The Man Who Laughs, The Hands of Orlok.
Yeah. Man Who Laughs is the movie that, that character inspired the Joker.
Oh, really?
That face. Yeah. Like the Will Thane or whatever his name is. Yeah.
I might have to dive into it. Because I still got one more movie to do from the 20s, and I haven't decided on which one it's going to be. And
there's so many. So many good ones.
That's why I just got to pick one and go with it. Because, The Hunchback of Notre Dame is from the 20s as well.
Have you done Vampire?
No,
have you seen that?
That is, it's on my list, though, but that's a, let me see here.
Oh, that's a little later?
I think so, here. Yeah, Vampire's in the 30s, 1932. Oh, okay. It's on my list.
Yeah, that one, to me, like The Unknown definitely feels like a silent movie, like a silent Hollywood movie. They have a certain style to them, versus a lot of Vampire to me felt like it could have been like a 1960s Art Nouveau thing or something, like French New Wave. They were like, we decided to make it silent to be even edgier. It has a lot of more, like the maybe part of that is just having a better print too. Like some of that stuff, it's hard to know.
Yeah, it is.
Gollum might be from the 20s. Der Gollum.
I think that sounds familiar too.
I'm not sure what decade that one's from offhand. That's a pretty good one.
Oh, on my list, I actually have Waxworks from 1924.
Oh, that sounds good. I don't think I saw that one yet.
So that's my next one I got to do. It's already on the list. Dadgone. I thought
Good pick.
But that's it.
Yeah.
That's the end of the movie. Once again, Brian, I got to thank you so much for introducing me to The Unknown from 1927. Now, where can everybody find you at?
I have a couple projects going right now. I started my own podcast-ish thing called QRD Radio, so you can find that pretty much wherever you go for podcasts. It's me interviewing musicians and artists, and just I don't know, interview is not really the right word, more having a conversation, but about their work. And I have that going on. I run a coffee, comic, and plant shop with my wife called Rhizome, Rhizome. And then I run a record label called Silver Records, and I have a bunch of music projects going on right now. The most popular one is like a minimalist 90s techno style thing called Muscle Mass, that it's been building up steam lately. So those are my main projects as of March 2024. But yeah, so
Nice.
we're trying to make the world a little bit more interesting, better place.
Yeah, and for everybody out there that needs to know, Brian is my comic book hookup.
Yeah,
so
I try to hook it up.
If you're in the area and you have that itch where you need a comic book, you hit up Brian. He'll get you. Sometimes,
or even if you're not in the area.
Sometimes, I have this love-hate kind of thing when I see Brian. I'm like, man, I haven't seen you in a while. It's great to see you, but then I know I'm going to be slapping down $100 in comic books. I'm like, dang it. So it's like,
Yeah, I know. It's like I can't remember if you actually got it or if it's still in your drawer, but I think last time I saw you, I was like, do you need this Godzilla versus Charles Barkley book?
Oh, yeah.
This is like, why does this exist? I'm like, because you need it.
That's how it works.
Yeah, I mean, I try to figure out what people's tastes are, and then when I run across the thing they need, I try to hook them up. And it's weird. I'm gonna do a post about it soon on Instagram that I've been doing some where I post several panels from a comic and talk about it. That the 90s Barbies comics, they're way more valuable than they should be. But I got some that were really beat up cheap for my kid, and I was reading them, and they read just like this comic that's one of my favorite current comic called Ice Cream Man. They read exactly like them, except for the fact that there's no twist where somebody dies. And so the art is actually kind of in a similar simplistic style too, which kind of adds to it. So and I've been in contact a couple of times with the guy that writes it, so I'll probably tag him in it and see what his comment about it is, because there's a clown issue of Barbie where it's a clown's first day on the job, and he goes to the dry cleaners to get his outfit, and he accidentally gets Skipper's dress instead. And so he puts it on, and Skipper, is going to the prom or whatever, and she gets the clown outfit, and hijinks ensue.
Wow.
Yeah.
90s Barbies. I never knew that they had. I bet you my daughter would love those too. Nah, stop. I don't need any more comic books.
Yeah. You're trying to go in comic debt. But yeah.
Yep.
All right, man.
Yeah, that's it. That's the end of this episode of Guess What? You're Wrong. Thank you again, Brian, for joining me and having a chat about The Unknown from 1927. Everybody out there, sweet dreams, love, peace, and chicken grease. And that's going to do it for the day. Thanks for hanging out with me and letting me bend your ear for a while. Ain't no time for bad shine. And until next time, don't forget, you're wrong.
Later, Tater.
This concludes our broadcast day. Good night, and God bless America.